At this point, Mr. Budd has got some folks he's going to introduce here for us, or at least one folk, in a little bit. And we're going to actually go through a little interview of Mr. Budd, just like he's on the old trail, if you will. And he's going to go back in the day and tell us how campgrounds used to be back in the beginning, when he first started out, to where we are today. And if you have questions as we go through, jot them down and then we'll cover those right afterwards. So without further ado, Mr. Budd.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm glad everybody's not sick, but it's amazing though today. We've had a few people cancel and we've had a few suppliers cancel, which is unfortunate. And I know down in Madison, they just closed the university and the school district. So anyway, I feel pretty comfortable being here that, you know, we're all well and we'll get through it all, and hopefully this all blows over in the next few weeks, because we certainly don't want to be talking about this during our season. You know, that would be pretty ugly. So with that being said, today I'd like to introduce a friend of mine, Andre Jacques. He's a state senator. I've known him for a number of years. You know that we've done quite a bit of legislation, inherent risk, our cabin rules. He was helpful in getting those things accomplished. You know, it's we can't get things done in Madison without friends and people who understand our industry. And so I want to tell you a little bit about this gentleman. Andre, why don't you come up here a second? One thing's for sure, he's a family man. How many kids you got now? 5 kids, okay. And you camp? Say yes. So, but he's a Packer fanatic. I've been to his office. It's awesome. Okay, I love it when people, well, he spends a lot of time in Madison, a lot. He might as well live there. So, you know, he's very comfortable in his office with the Green Bay Packer stuff. And he actually knows Gilbert personally. I mean, goes back to a long ways ago. So he's telling me about an apartment and a house and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, he's on a lot of committees. So that's good. If we have, you know, things that we need, we know where to go to. He is heavily involved with agriculture, revenue, financial institutions, health and human resources, judiciary and public safety, local government, small business, tourism. He sits on a group that approves secretaries for tourism and stuff. So he kind of knows our business, you know, that's kind of important. Policy and technology, and Speaker's Task Force on water quality. And we all, you know what water quality is all about. So with that being said, I'd just like to hand the mic over to him because he's a friend of the camping industry. And we can't get anything done without friends down in Madison.
Well, thank you, but I really wasn't planning on speaking when I got here. But the other thing, as a politician, I guess you have to be prepared to be handed the mic at any point in time, and then we don't often give the mic back for a long time after either. But no, Bud has been a friend of mine for many years and does a great job representing your association. Going back to the campground immunity legislation, of course, I have served on the Judiciary Committee in dealing with some of the civil justice bills, but do have the honor of chairing the Local Government, Small Business, Tourism, and Workforce Development Committee. And those are certainly important issues to the entire state of Wisconsin, and there is a connection to them, as diverse as they seem. And so I know Bud and I are having discussions on things like corded equipment and how we can hopefully try to make some changes on things like unemployment insurance and some of the other issues that have to go through some of the various state councils. But and Gilbert and I do go way back. I used to make Gilbert burgers when I worked for Burger King in Green Bay, and he lived nearby where my family lived growing up, and so I also got to present the proclamation and the plaque to him when he was inducted into the Packer Hall of Fame when I was working in the Green Bay Mayor's office. But I just want to say thank you for being here, for your involvement with the association's support for me personally, and everything that you do for the state of Wisconsin, for tourism, for our communities, as small business people investing in our state's economy, in employing people, and everything that you have in terms of concern for outdoor recreation and keeping our natural resources just the beautiful asset that they are to our state. So I don't know how long I'm supposed to talk here. I can just keep going. I've got jokes. I can.
Okay, guys, what we're going to do next is Andres very graciously agreed to interview Mr. Budd. So, all those like deep, dark secrets that we always wanted to know, because you know how shy Mr. Budd is. You can't figure everything out all the time and that kind of thing. So we'll get an opportunity to really learn the dirt on Mr. Budd. How's that sound? Good. And do you have your little cheat notes here? Yeah, there you go. Yes, you do. Perfect.
So I think I'm going to go off script though and ask Bud, where do you get those shirts? Because you've always got, whenever I see you, you've always got a great one.
Well, about 7 years ago, we took a cruise down to the Southern Caribbean and pulled into a port. I think it was St. Thomas. Maybe that's the Eastern Caribbean. I don't know. It's one of them Caribbean joints. Got in there and I hired a taxi driver and I said, take me to a place that's got stuff on sale. So he took me to this like liquidator place and they had these shirts. I mean, thousands of them for $7. And I'm like, $7? And I bought like 12 of them right there and brought them home. And I told the guy, I said, man, I could sell these in the campground. I said, I better get $20 a piece for these, easy. Because if you go online, they're $45. And so he gave me his number and that. So I went to his website and the sucker was under construction. So the next year we went back and pulled in there because I brought a suitcase and I was going to fill it up. And it was a Sunday and they were closed. They went to church that day. So I never did get them. So I've got 32 of them now hanging up and obviously it's my brand and pretty much everybody in Madison knows that that's what I wear. And the governor obviously signed legislation with me sitting next to him doing it. So
I remember that, and I kind of love anytime you're talking about the tourism industry, Wisconsin is fun. People want to think about having a good time, but always projects that, whether I see him at a joint finance hearing in Green Bay, although the first time I met Bud, I didn't have any hair on the front of my face, and I had a lot more on top. Now I'm starting to look more like Bud every time I see him. It's a little disturbing.
Yeah.
But we'll get into the program here. So. Mr. Budd, what was the hardest lesson you learned on the dusty trail of campground ownership?
When I first got into business back in 1979, I had all kinds of ideas what would work and what wouldn't work. Well, the one thing I've learned over the years, it doesn't matter what I want. It's all about what the customer wants. If you can't figure that out, you're not going to make any money in this business. I even in the consulting side of my life, I listen to people all the time tell me, oh, I don't like this and I don't like this and I'm not going to do this. And I'm like, buddy, it's not about you at all. That's why you don't make any money. You're not spending any time listening or figuring out who your customer is. Everybody in this room's got a different customer. We're very similar, but trust me, what you have in your campground is way different than the next guy.
Wise lessons. So, Mr. Budd, what was the biggest mistake you ever made in all your years of campground ownership, assuming you ever made one?
I made a huge mistake, 1983.
Bought your first campground?
Well, I bought my first campground in 1981 when the prime interest rate was 22%. Now, how stupid was that? Okay, but I was young and I said, you know what, I'll just work another 40 hours. So I'll put in 100, 150 hours a week, I'll make it work. So, when you're 25 years old, you can think that way. But I got into membership. I got into membership because membership was a creative way to buy a park or pay for your park and let your customer pay for it. You know, you sold them a membership. Well, we all know how that went. You know, 43 parks did it in Wisconsin, and 41 of them went under, okay? So that was an ugly time, and, you know, it's not a big seller right now. And it's just like timeshare. It's not a big seller right now. So, but it was a big deal in the 80s, 83 to about 89. And so, yeah, I got in it, and I paid the price to get out of it, too.
All right. So, what one decision netted you the biggest financial gain, and was it like related to a meat raffle or anything like that?
You know, years ago, many of you know that I have a brand called Camping for the Fun of It, and it's all about the stuff. And I think that's my best thing, is I said I'm going to have the most stuff that I don't care how old you are, from birth to death, you're going to have a good time when you come to the campground. So that's what I'm known for, pretty much having one of everything.
You know, I've kind of followed that advice. Unfortunately, my wife doesn't like all the stuff, but that's...
You got a lot of NFL
We don't have as much
stuff.
space. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to see some old friends like former Representative Joe Nyland's here and Mark Hazelbaker. Hey, Mark. Just making sure you're paying attention. I'm going to call out anybody I know here just for fun. But so, what product can't you keep on the shelves, bud?
You know, the best product I've ever had over the years is candied cigarettes.
You have to be 21 to purchase those now.
That's right. You know, I remember when I was a kid, they came in a Lucky Strike box, and they had smoke, and they had red on the end of it. And to this day, I mean, they call them candied sticks. You know, and I got parents saying, "How can you sell that stuff?" I said, "Lady, be a good parent. You know, it's not up to me." I said, I'm just selling 15. I'm selling 15 cases of these babies, and they're washing it down. They're washing it down with Red Bull. So.
You know, whenever we went to see my aunt and uncle in Dubuque, Iowa, they always gave me candy cigarettes. So I don't think they were a bad aunt and uncle, though. But as a kid, you loved that stuff. What one project at the campground gave you the most personal satisfaction?
Oh, I'd say building swimming ponds. We've had swimming pools, a lot of regs, lots of problems, you know, and we found that, and this was not only probably about 12 years ago, you build a pond and the state doesn't regulate it. And I'm like,
That's not true.
This is true.
I actually had to pass the bill to allow you to fish out of your own pond without a license. And you still have to like apply herbicide or algicide.
And you're right. I got my $25 a year permit, I guess, to have a pond. But I don't need a lifeguard, and I don't have all these things to do. And, you know, and again, going back to the stuff, we got ponds with lots of stuff that you'd never be able to put in a swimming pool. Never. So I think that's the best thing I've ever done.
How did you handle the cash flow in the early days when you had none and no one was loaning money?
Well, I'd have to say many times the only money I had in the whole world was on the dashboard of my truck. I mean, sometimes you eat lunch, you had to go count the quarters and say, I got $3. So that's McDonald's, you get a cheeseburger and a soda and you're done. But, you know, money was tough. And back in those days in the 80s, pretty much bank loans were unavailable. Bank loans in 1981 were 22% interest. Home mortgages were 16 and 17% interest. So we borrowed from private people and paid 18% interest. You know, you sit there and say, man, would you ever do that today? Hell no. You know, but so I'm glad those days are over with, but we got a hell of an education for us old people that are in this room that had to weather all of that. It was pretty ugly, and you really get to appreciate what you got when you're paying the juice on everything. So
That's for sure. And you know, one of the things that I really appreciate about each of you as owners, as entrepreneurs, and you know, signing the front of the checks as well as the back. So,
Yeah.
Biggest employee lesson that you learned so far, bud?
It's a hard one. You know, employees today, it's not about money. They want to hear about how good they are all the time. praise, praise, praise. Oh, you're doing a good job. All that, you know. And yeah, you gotta. I tell you, man, I've had blood running out of my mouth. You know, it's just it's hard, and we've all heard that story, but it's true. I mean, it's all about telling everybody how good a job they're doing.
Well, it's great because we're all above average now,
Yeah.
especially as legislators. So, the biggest banking secret that you've learned?
Well, you know, and many of you heard me say it at different meetings, you know, I'm a firm believer in never paying my mortgage off, ever, and refinancing every 3 to 5 years. And the reason I say that is banks rent money, and they got a bunch of it. And if you're a good tenant, they're going to give it to you. And, you know, you've got all these dreams and all these things you might want to do. You can actually leverage your park if you do it right, and you can get the money you need when you need it. It can be done. And I mean, I know a lot of people, oh, I got to pay that mortgage off. Why? It's just like an electric bill. It's never going to go away. And when it does go away, you're just going to pay the government. I mean, you got a deduction with the bank. When that goes away, you're going to pay the government. And which one would you rather do? Go out and buy yourself a snowmobile or a couple golf carts, a tractor, you know, all that stuff, the boy toys and that kind of stuff, and or a for-real ice cream machine. It's only $12,000, you know, but it pays. So.
You know, I gotta say, legislatively, I always want government to be taking less of people's money, give them their own money to be able to reinvest. So that's good. The best training advice you can give?
That's real simple, guys. Lead by example. I can't tell you how many managers I've hired and had to fire because, you know, they get a big head, they got a title, so their idea is point. Young people don't do well with instructions that way. You know, if you do the job and you get dirty, you tell someone to clean a toilet, they're like, what? Well, then we see you do 1,000 toilets, then I guess it's not so bad. So lead by example, for sure. And when you lead by example, that means don't schlep it, man. Get it done. You know, how can I do it? We're going to do it quickly. We're not going to do it slowly, you know, because if you do it slowly, that's exactly how it's going to get done, slowly. So.
All right, last question. Mr. Budd, on your tombstone, what do you want to say about your campground business?
It's all about the stuff.
Thank you.
So thanks, Andre, for coming. You know, we've got tomorrow John Plummer's coming to see us. Stephanie Klett, you know Stephanie? Not Stephanie. She was going to come, but she's kind of sick right now, getting something done. But Rebecca Clayfish, remember her, Lieutenant Governor? So she's going to be here tomorrow and going to teach a class in the morning and probably have a little fun with her, too.
About Rebecca, she's actually going to, if you notice in your program, and thank you, Lori, wherever you are, in the program, she's going to be teaching life lessons of Wisconsin. So there's a little duplicate in there. So she's not teaching Mark's class. She will be teaching life lessons that she learned in Wisconsin. And Bud, you want to tell a couple things? She's going to talk about labor a little bit.
Well, one of the things that, you know, one of the things she was really big on was, you know, that there's a whole big movement now to hire people in the prison system. You know, you serve your time, you get out, now what? And since we got unemployment at 3%, you know, it's like, wow, there's a whole pile of people there maybe we should be talking to, because not everybody's bad. Not everybody's bad. So it's like, you know, we should start getting involved in this program, and she's kind of spearheaded a lot of that. And hopefully she'll give us a little insight as to how we get involved with that. Another thing that in legislation that, you know, and I think Andre and I talked about briefly, one of the biggest and big negatives in the federal government right now is if you're under the age of 18, you're not allowed to work in a campground and use anything that has a cord on it, or mower, or chainsaw, or weed eater. But you can drive a car at 16 and kill somebody all day long, but you're not allowed to work. All right, and so we're trying to get a bunch of people together. It's been about 2 years now I've been working on this, and I can't get past OSHA right at the moment. So So hopefully with some help from the legislators, I know Ron Johnson's on board, Glenn Grothman's on board, and it's real simple, guys. I just need to get this bill on the president's desk. All I need is an executive order, and it'll go away in one day. Okay, getting there is becoming a challenge, but it can happen. OSHA is not allowing us to, they don't want any part of it. And my big thing is, OSHA, none of you guys are elected. I don't understand why you're in the way here. But think about it. You're 16 years old and you can't do anything till you're 18. Well, at 18, you're worthless because you don't know anything, okay? I mean, you're a young man at 18 and you can't work. So why can't we fix it? So it's going to take everybody talking about it. So, you know, as soon as we get a little closer, you know, I would hope everybody here would support that. Something simple as you work in a CNA, you know, in a nursing home. You know, they got electric hoists for lifting patients up to be weighed and stuff. They can't push the button because they're not 18. Come on, really? So, you know, this is something we can do in today's time. We just all got to stick together. So what I'm going to ask Rebecca for is if I can get to Scott Walker, Trump will take his phone call. So that's how I'm hoping to get there, is to get that accomplished.
But maybe you should try how you got the immunity bill passed by staying outside of the door of that legislator until they finally said, fine, I'll see you, bud. You've been here 2 weeks. Get off my doorstep.
Well, we did talk to a lot of people, and, you know, laws are made by those who show up. So, you know, when there's something going on, you got to show up. You got to be willing to talk and speak. And I've always been lucky to be able to talk after the lawyers, because they're the ones that are usually in my way. You know, they got a story on how bad everything is. And so I was lucky enough to be able to speak after the lawyers. And when we did the immunity thing.
Not you, though, Mark. We really love you. You know that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
When we did, and you know, when we did the immunity, the biggest thing I had to say at the time was, guys, this is all about stupid.
Yep.
And they all sat there and I said, yeah, it's all about stupid. Every one of you guys in this room has done stupid stuff. Think back when you were a kid, all stupid stuff. Look at every scar on your head, every scar on your leg, every scar on your arm, and tell me what you did stupid to get one. Because in your campground, people do it all the time. They ride a bike and they come in, oh, I need a Band-Aid. Oh, let me see here. You must have flipped that bike, got a little road rash, huh? Yeah, you going to do that again? No. I said, that's what it takes, guys. I said, so why are we held accountable for people's stupidity? We shouldn't be. That went a long way. We got like 87% buy-in to that deal, and that the law got changed, you know. So, you know, it won't get changed unless you show up and give good examples. So.
You know, and Bud makes it sound so simple, you guys, but you know what? It really wasn't that simple. I mean, we are the only state in the whole United States that has this immunity law.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 that are working on it.
That are working on
and
it, but they don't have it.
Some have been turned down already, and some are getting close. But we started it. We were the only ones in the whole United States that have anything like it. So.
And that happened because of
Yeah, Bob.
your board of directors and Mark. Oh, good idea, Bob. Yeah.
You know, you can all sit here and say, why can't you can't get nothing done without money.
Shut your ears.
I said, so, you know, I mean, our legislators here, I mean, I try to attend all of their fundraisers, and, you know, it's better to show up and hand somebody a few bucks so they know where we're coming from than it is to mail it in. It's just that simple. Okay? I mean, reality of it is, if they want to get reelected, they need to spend money to get reelected. And some of these elections are won by 3 or 4 votes. So I mean, they're pretty serious. So yes, when you do this fundraising here, we spend that money. We don't save it. We don't look at it, you know. And anytime we have the opportunity to help a legislator to help us get what we need to take care of it.
Yeah.
So.
And Bob, remind us again, how does that work? You have to actually have money in the checkbook before you can write out the check? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Is that tonight?
That is tonight.
It's tonight.
That is tonight. So you can buy your paddles from Melody. I tell you what, she is like my little fundraising queen. She comes up with great ideas. So we're going to have fun things to do tonight. We're going to do the paddle, and if you're up for some wine, we're going to do that if we can figure out how to make that legally work, which I'm sure we can, right, Mel? So anyway, if we can't, we'll just make it up.
And if you have any legislators that, I mean, I know quite a few, and, if you've got some friends, please introduce them to us so, we can go down and shake a hand and visit. So, but, we can't get things done without their help. So, is that it?
All right, that just for this section it is.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
All right, and then what we're going to do now is we actually have a few awards, so don't be going away anywhere. Okay, we actually have a few awards that we're going to give out, and maybe we should move this. You want to move that for me so I don't trip and kill somebody? And then just click once. Julie, click. Because if... not that click. But it was a good try, a valiant effort. Still wrong, but a valiant effort. There we go. And the color guard presentation, you'll notice that they are not here. So our little color guard guy was here at 10:30 sharp to do this, which we don't start until noon. So, and then they had doctor's appointments and a hearing aid appointment, which I was grateful for. So I said, well, don't miss that. That'd be great. Make sure you get to that. That'd be for sure. So, and we did that piece. Melanie was actually going to come up from the Portage County Health and Human Services, and with her little emergencies today, she was not able to do this, but we do have a wonderful presentation from her that will be on the website that talks about stopping the spread of germs and tells us a little bit about kind of where we are currently. She works in that department all the time. Here are some tips that she would give you. Kind of basic ones. Take everyday precautions. Avoiding close contact with people who are sick. Wash your hands. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing, or having been in a public place. If soap and water are not available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. To the extent possible, avoid touching high-touch surfaces in public places, elevator buttons, door handles, so, just do that when you have to get up to the second floor. And as high as I could kick, you're probably never going to make any actual floors. The handrails, handshaking, that type of thing. Use a tissue or your sleeve to cover your hand or finger if you must touch something. Wash your hands after touching surfaces in public places. Avoid touching your face, nose, or eyes. So none of those games. Clean and disinfect your home for germs, but you don't have to worry about that right now because you're like here. And make sure you wash your cell phones. Everybody's got one of those. Avoid crowds, not today, but like in the future. Your risk of exposure to any kind of virus. So if you walk up to somebody and according to this note, if you have that COVID-19, if you say, do you have that disease? Don't go by them, okay? And that pretty much takes care of that in a nutshell. Did I cover everything? Jim is like, oh, lordy. So when I come to apply, I'm pretty sure I'm not getting that job. But anywho. So I think our next step here is to give out the awards, but we need this thing here. So it's too late, but I already introduced you and him. All right, and I don't think we have Representative Dave is not here, right? All right, we did that piece.
He did respond. I mean, we invited a lot of legislators,
yes.
And he's a assemblyman out of Janesville. And I have not met him, but he is a camper, and he's an educator. So it would have been nice to meet him. So great. I
am so excited here today. We have with us Amy, who is the deputy administrator of the I can never say all of this at one time, of the Division of Food and Recreational Safety. Basically, she is the team leader. Is that a good way of saying it? She is a team leader of our amazing state group that we have. I tell you what, these guys are just literally a joy to work with. And I think it has been many years since we were able to say that we're all on the same page. We got it. We know who to call, and it makes things so much easier. And we all know how it works. It starts at the top, right? Just at your own campground. So if you would, Amy, please stand up and everyone give her a big round of applause. It's amazing sometimes the things, to me, the greatest compliments that you ever get are from the people that work with you. And I think, Amy, you would be very proud. It is amazing to see that kind of teamwork, if you will. So today we do have a few awards. However, our awards were coming from China and due to arrive here at 10 o'clock. Yeah, so they'll be here at 2 today. So right after this presentation, you'll be able to have your award. How's that? So we just have a little piece of paper that says, you're getting an award. But we'll make it work. Much like we made everything work. The first gentleman that I would love to step up here is Mr. James Kloponik. I'll probably never say that name right as long as am I close? Close enough, all right. I have to tell you a little bit. We have never quite had someone that was as good as communicating with our industry as Jim is. Guessing Jim 6 years ago, 5 years ago, we went on a whirlwind tour of the state of Wisconsin. Jim and I were talking, and I said, this is so confusing to me. I'm calling Jim every day. What does this actually mean? What does this piece actually mean? And bless his little heart, he just always explained it to me. And we got talking one day, and he said, I'm doing I'm doing some stuff with my inspectors. I said, man, could we have a class at convention like that? And Jim said, you know what? There's no reason that I can't teach your campground owners exactly what I teach my inspectors. Then they'll know. They'll know exactly what it is. I'm like, well, isn't that a brilliant thing to do? So we went around to all 6 of our regions and did 6 different presentations. And, God bless him, he traveled all over and used up 2 and 3 days of his time sometimes just getting up there, much less the prep and all that for it. So I just can't even tell you what a difference that made to our whole organization as a whole, Jim. So come on up, Jim. We have a great piece of paper for you. Okay, Jim, now you act like you're really excited about this, and it's an award that looks like the state of Wisconsin, and it's all wood, and it's really sharp.
Yeah.
Do you see it? IOU. Yeah, it's an IOU, yes. All right.
Yeah, Jim is, I've sat on the rewrite with Jim as well as, let's see, Eric was on there. Who else was on that group? Adam. And, we met for almost 2 years. 2 years. And I tell you, there was some spirited conversation in there, the private side versus the public side. And I think what we got accomplished was awesome. And, having that train the trainer going around and having everybody know, because many times, I've always used the phrase, knowledge is power. So when you know what the rules are and he knows what the rules are, if somebody comes up with a different rule, it's like, buddy, that's not part of the deal.
Right.
And so it makes it much easier when we all know what we have to do. So thank you very much. Yeah.
And now we have an award for Mr. Reed McRoberts. Reed, come on up. I have only one thing to say about Reed. In another life, when Reed was in another industry, I trained him, so he is perfect. There's absolutely nothing that he could do better.
I just come to these for the hug.
Yes, he does. Absolutely. But, Reed is a really important part of that whole training process, and he gets it. He gets that we all need to be trained, and that when new things come in, and anytime a ruling is kind of questioned or looked at differently, we all have to look at that and say, okay, now what do we have to do? Now what's the plan? And Reed is amazing at making sure that we get that information, we know what to do, and he can help us figure out how we train everybody else doing that. So thank you very much, Reed. And you can pretend like this is like a really amazing award. You're kind of using this high quality. That's what you used to get when I trained you. Now we have my very favorite award to give out here. Mary Ellen is an absolutely amazing individual. She is one of those folks that, and this is seriously no lie, I had a campground that was in serious trouble Memorial Day weekend. They called me at 5:30 at night and said, is there anybody that you can get a hold of that can help me with this problem? My pool is closed down. I'm like, it's 5:30 on a Friday night before Memorial Day. And you think I'm gonna get somebody at the state? You know, I was like, it's never gonna happen. So I thought, well, for giggles, I'll just email Mary Ellen. By goodness, it wasn't 30 seconds that I got an email back. You know, to me, that is just amazing customer service. And it's that way all the time, every time. It's not always the answer I want, but but it is a perfect answer, and every time she lets us know right away what the scoop is. In one of our conversations, I was thanking her again for her amazing customer service. I call her Flash, because she just, like, seriously, she gets back to you just that fast. And I've actually had her answer me while she's on vacation, out of town, whatever. She's just like, I think it's this, but I need to look this up because I'm on vacation or I'm off somewhere else. But she always, always, always gets back to you. And she shared a moment with me one time when she said, I interviewed for a job at the state, and she said, that's why I love it here so much, because they get it. She said they had asked me, like, what I thought my role was going to be and that type of thing. And she said, well, I really think customer service is important in serving the customer. And she said, the interview was pretty much over then. So she said, I knew that was probably not my right spot, you know. So for her, she is very customer oriented, and she really does look at all of us as her customer. And to me, that's just amazing. So for all you do, Mary Ellen, we really, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You know, I got the pleasure of working with her this summer because she called me up and said, hey, can we do a training session for her folks at Smoky Hollow? And, you know, if we did this like 10 years ago, I would have said, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. But it was a great day. We probably spent 4 or 5 hours together. Her people learned quite a bit. They got to hear firsthand from an operator, you know, what the types of things that bother me and bother you. So it was a great day. Everybody learned something, and it went well. And if we could get every department in the state to work her way, it would be great. Thank you. Yeah.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen. And Mary Ellen is doing a class after this, so if you want to know everything you ever could think of when it comes to the campground code, that woman knows it all. She'll be happy to share that with you, if you will. Sarah and Tom could not make it today, so I'll be accepting this lovely piece of paper for them and getting them their lovely award.
I did see Tom yesterday in the hall. He's been here for
Oh, yeah.
forever.
Yes.
But I mean, these guys love us.
They
okay?
do.
And I mean, we are so fortunate. I've been to a lot of conventions in a lot of places. There's nobody that treats people like us. I mean, they
No.
just don't. We're just a number to them. This place is serious. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And the convention center is absolutely, the Visitors Bureau is absolutely wonderful. They help us with anything that we need. When I'm looking for a specific speaker, whatever it might be, they come right to the rescue for sure. And they were responsible for the beer and wine that you didn't get last night, but I'm sure you will get on Sunday or Saturday. Yeah, Sunday. Sunday will be a little late. Okay. Yes, there you go. Right in time for the drive home. Right. I think if we have Dave from Indian Trails. Dave, are you in here? Yes. Perfect. Dave is going to introduce the winner of this next valuable piece of paper.
You've already given it away, I think.
Oh, yeah, I might have. I guess we shouldn't probably put it up there before you know
So
what.
I'm Dave Stoner from Indian Trails. I want to just first thank Eric and his partner there for wearing the uniform today. Thank you.
Yeah.
You got the memo. So I have the pleasure of giving an award to Andrew Nussbaum for his dedication and great service to our industry. I've been asked to do this, I think, partly because I've known him a long time. I don't know if I've known him longer than anybody in this room. But it's been 15 years, and he worked with us at the Columbia County Tourism Committee and Visitors Bureau, and I attended those meetings for many, many years and learned a lot from him. But I thought, okay, I got a chance to give this award. I thought, well, I know him professionally. What do I know about him personally? So I thought I maybe should just Google him.
I should Google.
And I found a website called andrewnussbaum.com. And he's actually also a modern artist from Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I got the wrong guy. I also found him on WebMD as a chiropractor in New Jersey. Still not sure if he's quite the right guy. I found a person by this name living in Kaukauna, working for an engineering company. No, still not him? No. I looked him up on Facebook. I know he's a real busy guy. He works a lot, he works hard, which is why he's getting this award. On Facebook, he hasn't had time to fill out his profile. Relationships, none. Places I've lived before, none. He's got 23 more friends on Facebook than I do. I have 4. He's got... But if a picture speaks 1,000 words, a million words, if you look at his photos, you can learn a lot about what Andrew is all about. He has got the skills and the talent and charm to do this job, and he's done a fabulous job for Waco. What he's done for us personally, for Myrna and I in our business, when I worked with him in Columbia County, he helped us with marketing and promotion and advertising of our company. I also learned from him how valuable it is to work really closely with your local communities and tourism and visitor bureaus. If you're not part of and actively working with your local tourism boards, get involved. We have been very lucky to be able to help and support that organization, and we've gotten 10 times more back. I would love to see every county tourism and visitors bureau board in the state of Wisconsin being dominated by campground owners. It would really make a big difference. It's one of the things I learned from him. So, when he comes to your property and wants to help, he'll say, I'm Andrew, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. And you can believe that. He was a small business owner. He's managed restaurant, he knows about hiring, firing, marketing, managing, doing all those ups and downs. He walks the walk, and he knows what our life is like. So that's a great value. So I know we don't have a real piece of paper here for you today, but I'm really glad that we can present an award to an individual who has earned it. He has, throughout his whole career, developed the skills and the talent and the knowledge to do the job, and I'm glad that he can get the award rather than someone who was just born with those skills. So thank you. Come on up.
Thank you.
Yeah, just kind of come over to the side here and take a picture here real quick.
He gave me the microphone.
Awesome.
I don't think you're supposed to make comments at this point.
You go
he
right
gave me
ahead.
a microphone.
Yes,
so
that's perfect. You just go right
much
ahead.
like an elected official, you give me a microphone, I'm on. I have arguably one of the best jobs in state government. And raise your hand if you're a taxpayer. God bless you for letting me do this every day. If you want the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday gig, this is not the job you want. But I get to meet with businesses and people every single day that you are tourism. We promote it. State doesn't own it. State taxes it, promotes it from there, but it's your tourism industry. And I feel honored every day to go out and meet with people who every day work those 8 hours a day, a week to make it happen. And it's been awesome. And anybody that knows me well, I love working with folks. This is not my thing of, an award thing. That's not my, I'm not that person. But ironically, this has happened twice to me this week. And I just want to share this quickly, and then I promise I'll shut up and go away. I was at the sports show this weekend in Milwaukee. I was at the restaurant show, then the emergency management show, back to the restaurant show, and then here. And I had a lady in Milwaukee that came up to me. I gave a talk there, and she came up, and she says, "You're Drew." Yeah? Do I know you? She goes, "No, you probably don't remember me, but I know you." She goes, she told me a little bit of a story, and right then I knew instantly who she was. In 1993, there was a lady that came into my restaurant, applied for a job. She was a single mother carrying a little girl under her arm. And she goes, could I apply for jobs? Absolutely. What are you looking for? I've got childcare during the day, maybe some nights, whatever. Seemed really personable, kind of person who was very straightforward. I said, yeah, can you be back here tomorrow? She came in the next day with her daughter on her arm. And she looked at me and she goes, I apologize. I said, well, it happens. She goes, I had a sitter backed out. She goes, I had two choices, miss the appointment or bring my daughter. And my daughter's a wonderful little girl. I hope it's okay. She sat there. She was fine. I hired this lady. She worked for me for several years, and she was just amazing. She was an amazing worker and occasionally ran into issues with childcare. Well, one day she comes walking into work, and she's carrying her daughter. And I said, hi, where are we going to put her? I was thinking maybe she could sit maybe in the banquet room if there's something going on, maybe we can color or something. I'm like, that's fine, we'll take a shot. Well, she was back there for a little bit, and I could tell she was getting antsy, so I said, why don't you bring her back in the office? We got a TV and whatever. Over the next several years, that happened on an occasion where she would just come in and hang out. Well, this, and keep in mind now, that was 27 years ago. This lady came up to me, and she was that little girl. And she goes, you were so wonderful to my mother. She goes, I want to tell you how much I enjoyed being around you. You were always a fun guy to be with. And that award is right there. I'm not used to that. It sent chills, but I had a tear in my eye from that, and she gave me a hug, and that was it right there. I totally lost it. But that is why we do what we do in the hospitality industry, because it's about the people. And, I found out that her mother went on and became a successful nurse and had got her degree, and now this lady owns a business, and it was just awesome to find out that from those simple beginnings, things grow out of that. And that is what we do every day. And I leave you with this. There's those people that we know that we see every day that walk in our door. We know who they are, workers, friends, regular customers, but there's no such thing as people we don't know. There's just people we haven't met yet. And if the whole world is filled with people we haven't met yet, think of the damage we can do. Isn't that awesome? God bless you, and thank you so much.
If I could have all of our new members, new owners, or new members, if you could just stand up, please. Guys, please do all that you can to make sure that you network with these folks, you get them started on a great, healthy journey here, and that you make sure that they feel just as welcome and comfortable as we possibly can make them feel. I think that's super important. And then if I could ask my board members to please stand. Thank you, guys. I think that sometimes we don't really understand or recognize the amount of time, effort, and dedication that it takes to be on this board of directors. We get an awful lot of credit for some of the things that we do in putting on this convention and doing so many wonderful things. But I'm here to tell you that none of that could happen without this board of directors. They are the ones that work tirelessly to make sure things get done, to make sure that I don't have obstacles that are in my way, so that I'm able to do some of the things that we're able to do as a team. And without that kind of dedication, we really wouldn't be where we are today within the organization. Working with the other state associations like I do, I get to see some of the other things that are out there. We are so very blessed. We truly are. This organization is amazing compared to some of the other ones. You see estates that are torn in half, or they have two organizations trying to get things done, and those are states very close to us. You see people that just can't agree enough to get 25 campgrounds in the same room together to have a conference. You see states that have literally, and I kid you not, 4 booths in their trade show. About 5 years ago, I drove from our conference down to Springfield, Illinois, to their conference, and I had drove straight through, and it was quite a deal. And I remember getting in there, and God bless Mom, she went with me, and I'm sitting in this room going, "Are you kidding me? I drove 8 hours to get here, and there's like 5 people in the room." And so I mentioned to the gal, I was like, "Geez, it must not have been a real popular draw for you. I thought it was kind of urgent that you had me down here." So I, came right after our conference. And I said, "I had 5 people in there." She goes, "Yeah, I know, you got them all. We had nobody in ours." I was like, "We got them all?" Yeah, that is all of them, huh? And it literally was 5, So they didn't have enough people to vote. They didn't have enough people to make any decisions whatsoever. So, when you look at some of those types of things, you really have to make sure that you give these guys a lot of credit, because they really do try to listen to what you think about. They try to listen and answer your questions. All we ask is, if you have any of those questions, straight up ask them. Don't be afraid to ask any one of your board of directors. Don't be afraid to ask me. It's really important that you go right to that root cause, because those are the people that can tell you, what's really happening. So many times it's easy to have misconceptions, or things look a certain way, or a perception is just out there. So it's always good just to ask those people. We work real hard to train our board members, and we're going to continue to work real hard to train our board members so that they know those answers for you. But I guarantee you, if they don't know, they will find out. They are those kinds of folks. So again, if you would just give them a huge round of applause, I would appreciate it. I'm going to end with just one little bit of recognition here that I think is very, very important. Several years ago, we were able to strike up a partnership with Mark Hazelbaker. And I got to tell you, Mark has been way more than an attorney to each and every one of us. He is not only our friend and advocate, but I got him on speed dial. And I tell you what, he is just done so much for the industry. I think so much for our ability to attract new members and keep members, that I would just appreciate it if all of you, anybody here who has gotten an answer from Mark or gotten some help from Mark, will you raise your hand? You ought to feel pretty good about that, Mark. That is amazing and incredible. So give Mark a big round of applause.
Well, I want to thank you all, and it's really gratifying to know that what we do makes a difference. We're only here for a very short time in life, and it's a real adventure. When it comes right down to it, if you have the opportunity in your life to be of service to others and to touch the lives of others and to make a difference, then you are truly blessed, no matter what the other outcomes may be. And I've really been fortunate to have had that opportunity working with you these past 10 years. It's a special group of people, and the reason I have done it and I love doing it is because you just are the finest people that I've ever known. You're just really wonderful people. You care about one another, you care about your customers, you care about your families, and you do something to make the world better, to give people a sense of fun, a sense of recreation, a sense that their lives mean something, because they do, Let's remember that our dedication to one another is what brings us together and what makes this group very special, and I'm really honored to be a part of it.
Thank you.